Viking Conquest is one of the most difficult challenges in Football Manager. Starting unemployed with no coaching badges, we have to win the title in all 5 Nordic countries of Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway and Iceland before conquering Europe by winning the Champions League, all in just 15 seasons. So today we're embarking on this journey to become a Viking legend. Finland and Iceland are the weakest of the 5 leagues that we need to win, so I'm trying to get my first job in these countries. The issue is my manager profile with no coaching badges is rubbish, so I'm not having much luck. Iceland's Leikir Reykjavik rejected me due to my lack of experience, and Finland's FC Lahti didn't even give me a reason for their rejection. But I didn't give up and I applied for every single job that became available, and eventually I was offered an interview by TPS in Finland's 2nd division. Unsurprisingly, their first question was, why am I in the running for so many jobs? So I told the chairman I was merely considering my options, trying to make him think that I'm in demand. They also asked me if I planned on sticking at the club for a long time. The truth is, I'm going to move on as soon as possible to try and get a job where I can win a league title, but they don't need to know that. So I lied through my teeth and promised them that I'll be here for the long haul. Now we just need to wait for the club's response. And sure enough, my blatant lies fooled the club's board and they offered me the job, which I accepted. TPS are currently 6th in the table with 8 games to go. Because of the weather, the Football League in Finland is played through summer and they break over winter. And this is also the case in Sweden, Iceland and Norway. Denmark stick to the traditional European calendar. Our best player is Albanian striker Orlon Batiki, who's on loan from a 2nd division Swedish side. The best player that we own is 36-year-old club captain Riku Riski, who looks pretty handy on the left wing. And our most promising youngster is 21-year-old Finnish goalkeeper Luka Nokalainen. Although some would say at 21 years old, he's far from finished. His career has barely started. I've set us up in a very basic 4-2-3-1 gegenpress to see out the season and evaluate the players. So everything is ready for our first game of the season against FC Mikkeli. 10 minutes in, we had a corner, and centre-back Sivonen rose highest and scored. It wasn't long before we were looking for another. Right-back Colin put an effort over the crossbar, whilst Batiki's header spun off the post, along the goal line, and eventually into the back of the net to make it 2-0. Geller's free kick was only denied by the woodwork, meaning despite decent chances, we only hold a 2-0 lead at the break. Mikkeli were given a chance in the second half when a slide challenge placed the ball in a perfect spot, but they couldn't hit the target, which ended up being the best chance of the half. We only managed 1 shot in the second half, so it's a good job we scored our goals in the first half. Okay, not a bad effort for our first game of the season. It's just a shame it's not going to count for anything really. That's because with 7 games to go, we're 13 points away from the playoff spots. So although Orlon Batiki went off in those 7 games by scoring 8 goals, it didn't matter because we aren't going to go up and we're not going to go down. Instead, I was pretty sad thinking that we have to replace Batiki over winter because he's only in on loan. We ended the season in 4th place, 10 points away from the playoff spots. It does feel harsh given that we only played 8 games, but that is the end of season 1. Over the break, I asked the board for a coaching course, which they said no to because they're worried I'll use it to get a better job. I mean, that is exactly what I am trying to do, but they don't need to know that. So I said they have to see it as a benefit to the whole club and not just to me, which works. In 4 months' time, I will have my National C license. We didn't have much budget, so we only made 4 signings over summer. The most notable is journeyman Joni Michaela, who will compete with our current inside forwards. We also had a small issue because a lot of the players I was trying to sign were being stolen by other clubs, and it was just really frustrating. But then I realised why. It's because I'm not protected online. So thankfully, NordVPN are sponsoring this video to help keep me safe online. You see, I've been downloading all sorts of things from the internet without any sort of checks or protection, and that's where they got me. Obviously, at some point I had downloaded some malware, which meant that the other clubs could see my shortlists and steal the players I wanted to sign. But with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro, it scans every download for anything harmful to keep you safe. In the last 30 days, NordVPN has also blocked me from accessing 4 malicious websites that could steal my data, and over 13,000 ads and trackers. In fact, by December 2024, Threat Protection Pro prevented over 17 million scams for NordVPN users. And of course, with it being a VPN, you also get the incredible privacy features like hiding your IP address and changing your virtual location, which can help you get great shopping deals or to watch region-locked content. My parents used it recently to watch the Six Nations whilst they were on holiday. You can keep yourself safe online for as little as £2.30 a month on a 2-year plan, and if you sign up via my link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen, you get 4 extra months included. And if you don't like it, NordVPN have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So head to nordvpn.com/TomFMVPN to protect yourself online and help support the channel. Importantly, other clubs now can't steal my shortlist, and this was very useful as we got to the end of the transfer window. I had one final look to see which players were available on a free transfer. Only 4 names came up, and one of them was 44-year-old Roque Santa Cruz. So I offered him a contract, and incredibly, he's joined the club. For 44 years old, he's still got it. I reckon he's going to score a ton of goals this season. However, in the first half of the season, he only scored 2 league goals, and they were both in the same game as we beat KTP 2-1 away from home. Talk about a star signing letting you down. Instead, most of our goals came from Albion Musaki, who was our backup striker last season, but this time, he was running the show. His goals helped us beat MP Micheli 3-1 away from home. He got the game's only goal as we beat Yarps 1-0, also away from home, and his hat-trick at home against Jippo Uensu earned us a crucial 3-2 victory. Club captain Riku Riski was also retaining his spot in the side with his goal-scoring form, as he bagged 12 goals in 12 starts. All this means that just over halfway through the season, we're top of the table by 7 points and on our way to promotion. Things are also looking good because the club have decided to give me another coaching course, which is fantastic. In the second half of the season, we continued, for the most part, winning games, with Risky, Musaki, and increasingly Roque Santa Cruz scoring goals. We did suffer a few draws here and there, and we even lost to VPS, who I'm assuming are our big rivals because we're called TPS, in the Cup semi-finals. But it means with 5 games to go, we have an 11-point lead, so victory in our next match could mean we win the title if results go our way. Less than 60 seconds into the game, we got our wish, as we worked the ball to right back Hagstrom, who banged in a goal to give us an early lead. 3 minutes later, we were super lucky not to extend the lead when we hit the crossbar from distance. But Roque Santa Cruz didn't let us down from close range, as he scored a point-blank header. And then 32 minutes in, despite a good first save, it was harder for Risky to miss the follow-up than score, which was fortunate because our opponents, Kappa, were able to pull one back just before half-time, so at least we still have a 2-goal cushion at the break. Better still, second place KPV Coca-Cola was still drawing 0-0 at half-time, but went 1-0 down in the 55th minute. Kappa had another decent chance, crossing the ball into the middle, and scored a second goal, so I was pretty happy to see that KPV Coca-Cola had gone 3-0 down in their match, and there was no chance of a comeback there, or in our match. We hold on to win 3-2 and win the second division title to earn promotion. Champions, champions, ole, ole, ola. We are going up, say we are going up. Santa Cruz is magic, he wears a magic hat, and if you throw a brick at him, he'll subscribe to the TomFM channel. So with promotion to the top flight secured, surely a big club is interested in hiring me. But at the start of Season 3, there's only one second division Icelandic side with an open job. So for now, we're going to stick at TPS. Seeing as we're stuck here, I convinced the board to send me on a 3rd coaching course to get my National A license. My manager profile is now looking pretty good. If we can have a good season, there's surely no reason a big club would turn me down. So we need to sign plenty of talent if we want to make waves. We snapped up 19-year-old right back Santeri Rompanami man from PKKU at the end of his contract to be our new starter in that position. 19-year-old Adrian Lardo left Hammarby at the end of his contract and joins to be an attacking threat from a centre of midfield. But our best signing is 19-year-old attacker Dujoli Nzoko, after he left FC Inter Turku, who are going to be our rivals this upcoming season. 2 more permanents and 2 more loans mean we have a full competitive team this season. The pre-season preview had us in 4th place, so maybe we could cause a shock. We did lose on the opening day of the season to Cups, who have been over the last 20 years or so the 2nd or 3rd best team in Finland. Then we drew our second game, 1-1 at home against Elkanas, with both goals coming from set pieces. But finally in our 3rd game, we got our first win, coming from behind to win 2-1. After that, for the most part, we kept winning. Nzoko was bagging a few, as was on-loan midfielder Nolson Elias, as we proved we deserved our spot in the division and the pre-season prediction of 4th. Because a third of the way through the season, we're 3rd in the table, crucially ahead of HJK in 5th, who are by far the best team in Finland and the current reigning champions. Their results didn't improve over the next few weeks, and following their 1-1 draw at home against us, HJK sacked their manager. This is a golden opportunity for us to get the best job in Finland. So I applied. And 2 weeks later, HJK offered me an interview, and apparently I am one of the top candidates. Their big concern is my lack of management experience, so I pointed out that despite that, I have a very good track record. Then they were curious as to why I want to move on, so I went on the charm offensive and told them I need to join HJK for the next step of my career. And finally, they want to know if I can turn around this underperforming club. Well, I back myself to come in and make an immediate difference, so I'm going to click that, and that's what we're going to say. And they liked what I had to say. HJK have offered me the job, and now we're moving on to the biggest club in Finland. Our most notable player is Timo Pukki, although at 37 years old, all of his physicals have completely dropped off. So our best player, on the other hand, is probably Lucas Lingman, who plays in midfield, and I'm going to make him our playmaker. With 14 games still to play this season, we're only 9 points off the top, so it's not impossible to win the title from here. We're setting up in an attacking 4-2-3-1 to get on the front foot and make the most of our players, who are for the most part the best in the league. Thanks to 2 penalties from Timo Pukki, we won my first game in charge 2-1. Then we had to rely on a late goal to see off Elkanas IF as 3-2 winners, before needing another late goal in another 3-2 victory against Ilves, who have one of the coolest club logos I have ever seen. They weren't convincing wins, but they were wins nonetheless. And after those 3 games, the players got used to our tactic a little bit more, and the wins started to become more convincing, like a 6-3 win against KPV Kokkola and a 4-1 win over Arsehole. Huh? I promise you that is the team's name, Google Translate told me.
Arsehole.
So 8 games played and 8 games won, 24 points in the bag. To celebrate, I started another coaching course, which is fantastic for me. But it's also fantastic for the club, because we're now up to 2nd in the table, just 1 point behind SJK, and we could leapfrog them if we win our next game against our old club. The new TPS manager has switched to a 4-2-3-1, which I reckon can't be working out for them, because I'm the one that built that team, and I know for a fact I didn't sign anyone who can play in that central attacking midfielder role. But our old club came out of the starting block strong, and they hit the post early doors. We had a chance a few minutes later, but the shot was deflected over the crossbar. But in added time in the first half, we recycled a corner and found an open Jonathan Silva, who gave us the lead seconds before the halftime whistle. The second half wasn't much to write home about. Neither side had particularly decent chances until the 75th minute, but when somehow the ball fell to our left back, he scored his second of the game. And as TPS tired, right winger Gonzalez scored a wonderful goal to round off the match and win 3-0. Just walking around the stadium to applaud the TPS fans, always had a very good relationship with them. Annoyingly though, SJK also won, so they stay a point ahead of us with 5 games to go. The final 5 games involve the league splitting in 2, so our final 5 matches are against the other teams in the top 6. Our next game was also against TPS, and once again we won, although this time the score was only 3-1. We then thrashed Cups 4-0 at home, before coming from 3-0 down in the 21st minute to beat FC Interturku 4-3 for another 3 points. At the same time, SJK won 1, lost 1 and drew 1, meaning we overtake them in the table. With 2 games to go, we're 4 points clear, and our former club could help us win the title. TPS play SJK before we play our next match, so if TPS win, we become champions. But they drew, so we don't claim the title yet. As long as we don't lose to FF Yarrow, we win the league. 27 minutes in, we put one hand on the trophy. A quick 1-2 from a throw and a cross to the back post saw us take the lead. Moments later, we doubled the lead when the keeper parried a corner straight to one of our players' feet. But we can't get too comfy, as a quick counter-attack from Yarrow led to them pulling a goal back just 2 minutes later. So thankfully, we quickly regained our 2-goal lead when we found some open space on the near side. In the second half, we were unrelenting, scoring a 4th goal after just 69 seconds. Then a few minutes later, we managed to get a 5th goal, and then the game was over when we scored a 6th just after the hour mark. All this means is that we win the league title in style and claim the first trophy on our quest to completing the Viking Conquest challenge. There is no rest for us though, because I think I found my next job. Swedish side Malmo have sacked their manager as they're only 9th in the table, but they have won 5 of the last 10 titles in Sweden, with 3 more runners-up medals to boot. So this could be a great way for us to finesse our way into another top job. A few weeks later, Malmo came back and gave me a job interview, but they're nervous I've never managed in Sweden before, so I told them my standing in the game should quell any concerns. I did feel a bit insulted when they said my career had lacked variety, so I told them I've not felt the need to move jobs very often. Which is ironic obviously, because we only joined HJK 5 months ago. And that was also their next question. So I deflected and said whilst it's a small sample size, judge me on what I've done, which is win the league title. But that wasn't good enough to woo Malmo, as they opted for Edin Terzic instead. Now, if you remember, most of the Nordic countries run their seasons through summer to avoid the harsh winter. That means that UEFA qualifying takes place for these countries mid-season. So not long after I joined HJK, we had to play Arat Armenia in the first qualifying round of the Champions League, which we won 18-0 on aggregate to show how bad they are. But we then narrowly lost to Ferencvaros in the second qualifying round, 7-6 on aggregate, dropping us into the Europa League. And here we managed to beat Apoel from Cyprus and then Sheriff from Moldova on penalties to qualify for the Europa League league phase, where so far we have failed to win a single game. But that's not surprising when we have to play RZ and Legia Warsaw after our season is finished. You'll also notice our next match is against Malmo, so I am desperate to win this one. I want to prove to Malmo they picked the wrong manager. And that's exactly what we did in the first 20 minutes of the game, as we scored 3 goals to sprint into an early 3-0 lead. Take that one, Malmo. The issue is, we then conceded 5 goals in the remaining 70 minutes of the match, which means, obviously, we lost. Okay, fair play, Malmo. I think you may have made the right choice for the new manager. With no other jobs available in the off-season, we're going to have to stay at HJK and hope for the best at the midway point of next season. So to cut a long story short, I played through the off-season, did a little bit of player trading, and got off to winning ways in the new season. Perhaps I should have just resigned at the end of last season after we won the title. But I feel like if I stay at HJK, when doing job interviews at other clubs, they won't be able to accuse me of having a reputation for moving on quickly. The issue is I have no attachment to this HJK squad now, and all I can do is think about is leaving the club. So when a job finally became available, I applied for it. And almost a month later, Swedish side Elfsborg offered me an interview. Just like Malmo, they were concerned I had never managed in Sweden before. So I told them I've always been keen to manage in the country, and I hope they give me a chance. They then tried to catch me out by saying the only reason I'm looking for a job is because I'm doing very well with HJK right now. So I countered that and said this isn't short-term success. I can deliver long-term success at Elfsborg too. Although I am concerned that the club have big financial issues right now, but I told them it wouldn't be a problem. And they liked that. So much so, they've offered me the job. But I have decided to delay accepting it. Because they took so long to offer me an interview in the first place, another job came up in the top flight of Iceland for a team that I'm never going to be able to pronounce. But I still applied for it, and they've also offered me an interview. Their big concern is that I don't speak Icelandic. However, apparently 98% of Iceland's population can speak English. So I just told them that football is a universal language and I can get my message across. They're also concerned that I'm in the running for the Elfsborg job. So I tried to make it seem like I'm in demand by simply saying, I'm considering my options. And that made them feel like they were going to miss out on a star manager because they have also offered me the job. So where should I go? Elfsborg or Iceland? We're going to find out in the next episode of Viking Conquest. That's right, we're going to make this a mini series. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be the first person to know when the next episode comes out and to find out which job we're going to take.